Hi there BookTube, it's Janet, and today I've got a reading wrap up, and these are the books that I read in the second half of February. February was a brilliant reading month for me. I read 15 books, and I look back at last year and I think I read 13 books last February, and it seems to be my most successful month year on year, even though it's the shortest month, and I don't understand why that is, but I was absolutely thrilled. I read 15 books. So I've already done a video with the first set of books that I've read, so I'm going to tell you about the last set of books that I read to finish off what I did for February and give you an update on where I'm up to with Bookopoly. So I had two rereads in February, and this was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I listened to both of these on audiobook read by Stephen Fry because I've got a longer commute now, so I'm going to read all the Harry Potter books. Absolutely loved them. It's such a great pleasure to revisit this world and to hear Stephen Fry reading it. But I'm going into unknown territory now. I've only ever read the first three Harry Potter books before, and so I have just started on the Goblet of Fire. Different to what I expected. I have seen all the films, but it's so long ago I can't remember much about them, and obviously, as you know, the law is that the book is always better than the film, and I'm absolutely loving it, so I'm thrilled to be carrying on with this series. The next book I've got to show you is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, and I took part in the read-along that was going on that lots of people were doing on Goodreads, and this I was a little bit behind because I had a break in the middle of reading this to do Contemporary-thon, and so I just finished it off, and look how big it is. And if you know me, I have this big fear of huge books, but oh my goodness, I loved it. It's a western. It basically follows a group of men who used to be Texas Rangers, and a lot of the work has dried up now because apparently the Indian problem is now pretty much under control, basically because they must have killed them all, and so they decide to steal a load of cattle and take them up to Montana, which is thousands and thousands of miles away, and it's so good. I absolutely loved it. The characters were so well developed. I felt anxious at times. There's some very, very gruesome, gritty moments in it. I think some people might have issues with some of the female characters in it, in the way that they are treated and regarded by the men. In the 19th, it's set in the 19th century, and that was how women were treated and regarded in those days. And so, you know, I think if Larry McMurtry had tried to make them any different, it wouldn't be true to the period. You feel the heat, you feel the grit, you feel the danger. I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with all the characters. Well, not all of them, because some of them are really not nice. But I'm so glad that I read it. And it's really making my arm ache hold it up because it's so big. The next one I've got to show you is The Scandal by Frederick Backman. And this was one of my community chests, I want to say, mystery reads that I pulled out for January. And I'm really disappointed. I loved A Man Called Ove. It was a 5-star read. I read My Grandmother Sends Her Regards and Apologies, and I found that, although I did finish it, I found that a bit meh, and I didn't like it. And so I was kind of looking forward to this because I'd heard such great things, and I kept picking it up and I kept trying to read it, and I kept putting it down and not wanting to read it, and then I picked it up again trying to read it, and in the end it was a DNF. I couldn't get beyond the first, I don't know, 100 pages because all it was talking about was ice hockey, and it was just so boring for me, and it didn't really get going in any way, and it may get going after the first 100 pages, but I just wasn't willing to keep plodding through the details of ice hockey games and teams, and it was just so dull. And I believe it's going to be a series, but it just was not engaging me at all. I do appreciate that a lot of people might find ice hockey exciting and thrilling, but it wasn't for me. So that's my first DNF of the year. The next book I've got to show you, which you will have seen all over BookTube, is Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. It's 100 Tales of Extraordinary Women, and this is by 2 Italian authors who've put this together, and their names are Eleanor Favilli and Francesca Cavallo. And it's just, you'll get sort of things like a story on a page, and a beautiful illustration of that woman. And this page I've just opened it at is Helen Keller, so you'll get stories like Helen Keller, and you will get Maria Montessori, who's got blue hair. And let's find one more. And then you get Virginia Woolf. So there's quite a diverse background to the women in this book. You get scientists, you get artists, you get writers, you get astronauts, you get all different walks of life, you get activists, and I absolutely loved it. It was just a brilliant idea. It is aimed at a younger audience, but I think you would love this at any age really, and I was absolutely thrilled to get this and read it. And the final one I've got to show you is From Here to Eternity by Caitlin Doughty, and this is travelling the world to find the good death. And a lot of you probably know Caitlin Doughty has the channel Ask a Mortician on YouTube, and she wrote Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, which was I think the year before last, 2016 I think, which I read and I couldn't put down. And this one pretty much I read in one sitting, and it's all about where Caitlin's gone all over the world, places like Indonesia and Japan and different places, and places in America as well, and just looks at how different cultures deal with the dead and the funeral rituals, the funeral rites, but also the care of the body after it, and the mourning and the wakes that people have. And it was just a really interesting book. Really enjoyed it, and if you're interested in that kind of subject matter, which I am, I thoroughly recommend it. So that's my reading wrap up for the rest of February. As far as Bookopoly goes, I had a fantastic month, obviously because I read 15 books and I took part in Contemporary-a-thon, so I actually got £20 to put in my little special treat fund money box, which will be for a big book spree at the end of this year. So let me know what you think of these books, what you're reading. Let's chat down below. I will see you all soon, BookTube. Keep reading. Bye!